Block, block, block. Pull up in the gold, I'm leading. But them other man need feeding. I don't wanna go Bombay. Them I don't know what I do when I go from dealing. Leading the pack in black and I'm on with a bat. Snapping with a phone and dab. Boss up a man with a duster. Put him in the drip and...
Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy Nitrostorm here, and we are here today to talk about Genshin Impact, my humble opinions and my thoughts as a normal active player that's been playing for over a week and who's reached over adventurer rank 30. So as an introduction to this video, we are going to be talking about my experiences, my first impressions, things that I enjoyed, the pros, and then things I didn't really enjoy or aspects of the game that I didn't really like, the cons, and then my humble opinions and suggestions, and the conclusion. So my first impressions of the game was actually very nice. It was a very nice experience. It was very smooth on my PC, fortunately, even though I didn't have the recommended graphics card. It's also relatively smooth on the phone too. At first it was only at 30 FPS, but then they released an update where they made it possible to have 60 FPS. But be careful, it will definitely start heating up your phone very quickly. Graphics wise, we all knew that the game was going to be very visual, and it was very aesthetic. While I was exploring through the world, even from the beginning of the game already looked very vibrant, very colorful. The background music, the sound effects, they really add to the feel of the game and add to the experience. And lastly, my first impressions of the gameplay. Overall, I thought it was very smooth, it was fluid, but of course we do have to address that there are some similarities between other games, but I don't think that it affects the overall gameplay overall. But I should at least list what the community found. So at first and foremost, the similarities with Breath of the Wild. So I can attest to that because I've played Breath of the Wild myself, a few hundred hours into that. I love that game, but then again, there's not too many similarities. Of course, the visuals from the first area of Genshin Impact, it had that similar bright green color scheme with like the sunny day, and some of the enemies kind of, the climbing aspect, the stamina system, where you're able to also increase the amount of stamina that you have through worshipping the statues. Furthermore, I also found this post on Reddit where they compared Nier Automata gameplay to Genshin Impact, and they were definitely near the same. The animations that they've used, I'll put a link in the description so you can check the Reddit post yourself. But overall, the actual combat system is more similar to their other game, Honkai Impact, which is pretty nice. They have the usual dodge, they have attacks, a specific elemental skill, and they also have this thing called an ultimate. So a lot of your damage will be based upon your basic attacks as well, so we can't just ignore that. Alright, moving on to our next part, the pros / the things I enjoyed. So first we'll just list all of them down, well, as much as I can remember and think of. So I enjoyed the story, the visuals, the exploration, the music, the resin system. Alright, obviously that was a joke, we'll come back to the resin system later. But overall, it's mainly the single player aspects of the game. But Genshin Impact was, I think, mainly made to be mostly a single player game with co-op aspects, but these were the things that I enjoyed. So overall, I enjoyed the story so far, all the way from start until where I'm up to date with the story. The story had some nice elements to it. Sometimes it was serious, sometimes it was funny, it had like joking moments. I could show a part here right now, but just a disclaimer, it's a minor spoiler. By that I mean you might want to experience it for yourself, but it doesn't really hurt the actual story.
The name of the milk. That's why I wrote it down. Where did I put it? Ah, here. This is the name. Coconut milk.
Oh, Coco Goat, Keck W. Coco Go, because coconut. For the visuals, we'll just glance over this part because I mentioned it on my first impressions, but obviously the visuals are amazing. Well, of course, if you compare it to upcoming PS5 games, of course, like the upcoming Spider-Man or the Gran Turismo, the graphics are very realistic. But of course, we just have to consider that Genshin Impact have their own, anime, 3D anime art style, which is, I'd say, timeless. I don't think they would need to improve the shading and stuff like that. I think the graphics itself look really nice as it is. It's very appealing, and there's no need for them to improve it down the line. Even if there are other games on other platforms that would have, as you could argue, much better graphics. For example, even the Dark Souls remastered, or was it the remake? Hopefully, don't light a fire on me for that. I apologize. So for the next part, I would combine the two together, the exploration and the music. While the exploration aspect of it is pretty nice, as you can go from one edge of the world all the way to the other, just looking for random things, maybe seeing things that you would, like maybe Easter eggs and so on. The music does help with that because they really did a good job with the music. Once you go to different areas, or when a battle starts happening, the music changes to change the mood, which helps you get into the game, and experience it in a much nicer way. And even the cities, I personally like the music from the Liyue Harbor and just Liyue in general. To be honest, the music that they use for that place, it really adds to the area and how it looks. It really matches it. They really did a good job. So overall, for the pros, I think as a single player aspect of the game, it feels like an actual game. Like, it doesn't really feel like your usual gacha game. It does feel that there has been a lot of time and effort put into this game, and I really enjoyed the experience for the single player aspect. Alright, now moving on to the cons. So before I list the cons, MiHoYo Genshin Impact, please don't crucify me. I'm just listing what I personally feel are cons. I'm not trying to bash at the game, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, let me list them down. Alright, so the cons are the resin system, especially in endgame, the artifact system. Now there are some things I do like about the artifacts, but we'll go into more detail later. Upgrading the weapons, upgrading the artifacts, the gacha rates plus the free-to-play Primo Gem gain, and the co-op. Now I know some of you might be disagreeing with me right now, smashing that dislike button, you know what I'm saying, but just hear me out. I do have some reasons for these, so I hope you stay and listen to them and then see if you can agree or form your own opinion. But in any case, let's get started. Alright, so for the resin system, I'll put a link down in the description for the Genshin Impact wiki that I'm using as reference for the information on resin. But in any case, resin replenishes one resin per 8 minutes, meaning it will take a total of 16 hours for a full 0 to 120. You can refresh using fragile resin that we can get over time through doing one-time quests and so on, but you can also use Primo Gems to refresh. Now, 120 does seem like a lot, and being able to restore 60 does seem like a lot. However, the minimum amount of resin that you need to do an activity is 20 resin, and that's to do the leyline outcrops and abyssal domains. So leyline outcrops are the ones that you want to get Mora or character EXP, and for abyssal domains it would be lots of materials that you need to either upgrade or ascend your gear, as well as some domains being for artifacts. After that, once you spent maybe a few hundred resin doing all of that, the next thing you want to do and farm are the elite bosses, and you fight them, and then this flower thing comes out, and then in order to redeem that reward, you need to spend 40 resin. So we go from 6 leyline outcrops, for example, into 3 elite bosses, because our cap is 120. And now you think that's done, you also have weekly bosses. Now this is where you get pretty much, you know, the big boy rewards, but unfortunately you can only claim these rewards once a week. And adding on to that, it costs 60 resin to get these rewards, which is so, and there are only 2 weekly bosses at the moment, so it does make sense. But then again, it's still pretty expensive considering the fact that you need to farm everything else. And also, as of this video, they also released a co-op, new co-op event, which also uses resin. So you kind of see the point of my, you know, issue here with the resin. Of course, if you're a spender, it's not really that much of a big deal because you can just refresh and stuff like that. But if you're a free-to-play, it's gonna be a little more like trying to make it the optimal usage of your resin to ensure that you don't really fall behind. But yeah, overall the resin system, I would like to have some improvements for that, which I will talk about later. Now, so we will group all 3 of this together for the next con, which are the artifacts, upgrading weapons, and upgrading artifacts. So for the artifacts, I do like the fact that you're able to create your characters in your own way by utilizing different sets and utilizing different main stats as well. So you can build your character however you want, play in the playstyle that you want. So I do like that aspect of the artifacts. However, one of the issues would be trying to get the correct artifact. Now, of course, it's part of the grind. You know, I do appreciate that. The only issue is that in order to grind these artifacts, you need resin. So as you can see, it goes like around in a circle. But overall, I do like the artifact system. It's just that there's a lot of need for resin. So I don't mind the huge RNG aspect for artifacts, like when you're upgrading it to +4, +8, +12, +16, +20, and then you get a random stat either added or upgraded. You know, I do get the RNG aspect of that. You know, it does add some fun to it, it does add a lot of grind, but the issue again would go back to resin. Now, for upgrading weapons and upgrading artifacts, I am sure you guys are with me when I say that upgrading weapons and upgrading artifacts have so much problems with it, you know what I'm saying? Alright, so I might be over exaggerating, but there are some issues when you're upgrading them. So for example, when upgrading artifacts, you're not able to check what artifact you're going to be using as fodder to upgrade the artifact that you want to upgrade. And there may be artifacts that you want to keep, but you can't even, but there isn't even a lock system, so that would prevent you from feeding the artifact you would actually want to keep instead. So it makes things very, very inconvenient. And now adding on to that, when you're upgrading weapons, of course there's something called auto add, right? But what if there are 3-star weapons that you want to keep, but you want to level up using the blue rarity crystal to upgrade your weapons? Well, you would think that you can, you know, hold click or hold tap to increase the amount that you want to use to upgrade the weapon, but actually you want to have to spam click that thing, you know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, if you do auto add 3-star or below, it'll add in 3-star weapons to feed, which you don't actually want to do. So you're stuck there having to spam click the 3-star rarity upgrading crystal, and then the 2-star one, and then the 1-star depending on how many you have left, just to get your weapon upgraded to the max level. So, you know, that's another gripe that I have. I can't even hold click. So anyways, that's my issue with that. Next up, we have the gacha rates and the free-to-play Primo Gem gain. So in terms of the gacha rates, we already know the 0.6% chance, They do have this, you know, quote unquote 1.6% chance when you do a multi, only because of the fact that the multi ensures you get a 4-star or above weapon or character. Now, of course, you know, the rates are pretty bad. However, there is a P system, you know, 90 pulls, you know, 9 multi for a 5-star character. And then if you're pulling on a event banner where there's a featured character, that 90th pull will have a 50% chance of being the featured character, you know, coin flip. So it's not bad. But then if you fail that coin flip, you have to do another 90 pulls, but at least on the 180th pull overall on that single banner, you will get the featured character. Now, you know, that's already a lot of pulls, 180 pulls. Now if you compare it to something like, you know, Epic 7, it's 121 pulls for a pity, and you do get a lot of, at least you do get a lot of free-to-play currency for Epic 7. I don't play the game anymore, but that's all I know from it. That's what I can remember. Now, it might seem like it's not bad. Someone did some math on Reddit. I'll put a link down in the description for that. In terms of how much you need to spend to NP5 a character, to max a character out in Fate Grand Order. And it costs a little bit more to NP5 someone in Fate Grand Order than it is to Genshin Impact, which doesn't really say much, but hey, it's something. Now, the only issue that I have with this is the fact that, of course, the rates are on the lower end, but I guess it makes up for the good gameplay. But I don't know, I still think it can be improved. The only bigger issue that I have would be the free-to-play Primo Gem gain. So at the moment, everyone's just started playing, so the Primo Gem gain is pretty decent for now, right? Because you get a lot of Primo Gems from doing story, doing the missions, first clearing stuff, finding things for the first time, you know, opening the big boy chests, the luxury chests, and stuff like that, and events. You know, from the mail we got a lot of Primo Gems for free and free summons for free. So it does seem like it's pretty free to play so far, right? Because you're able to actually get 90 pulls in as a free to play, so you can get yourself a 5-star essentially. However, after that, the game becomes slow, I guess, in terms of how often you can do 90 pulls compared to how often banners are going to be released. Well, there's going to be a very likely chance that you're going to be having to skip banners, even if the banners itself, the event banners, take about 20 days each. So that's something to keep in mind. And last but not least, we have co-op to talk about. So the co-op aspect for Genshin Impact is not bad, but it's not that good either. So the thing that I like about the co-op, you can join other people's world depending on your adventurer rank. So you need to be around the same, you need to be either higher world level than the person you're joining, or at the same world level as the person that you're joining, so you can play together. But after you join, while it's fun playing with your friends, the things you can do in the world is very limited. And I think we can all agree to that. I'm not sure if they're gonna make any improvements on it, but this is just my opinion on it. So the host can still open chests, and we can do some mining and stuff. Get some plants, get them resources, but you can't open the chest yourself because you're joining in their world. You can't. The hosts themselves, they can't really progress in their story and stuff like that because they're unable to talk to NPCs while in co-op mode. The main thing that you can only really do while you're exploring with your friends in co-op is just fighting enemies that are outside. And what's decent about that is that you can do farming with your friends to farm materials, essential materials and stuff like that. Makes things faster, because when the big bosses drop, the drops that they drop are actually independent of each player, so they don't need to share the drops. They can just spam pick up monster drops because it's independent for each person, so that's fine. And then for co-op, you can also do co-op in domains and for the recent co-op event, so you can play together that way as well. But for example, my brother was expecting for me and my brothers to do the story together, you know, like play the game in the same world, level up together, raise an adventure rank and do all that stuff together. But you know, he was pretty disappointed because it wasn't like that. So you know, there's that for co-op. And I think that's overall what I think about in terms of the cons. Alright, so we'll keep this next part kinda short, and this will be my humble opinions and suggestions. So the minimum suggestions for improvement that I would want to see would be adding quality of life updates when upgrading weapons and artifacts. So I've listed the problems earlier in the cons, and I would just like to see those issues fixed really. And for extra improvements, you know, these are the things that I'm not sure miHoYo and Genshin Impact will do, but it would be nice to see a change in terms of improving the quality of life in gameplay, especially in endgame for many players out there. And that would be hopefully some sort of change in the resin system, like even doing like a short-term fix, like halving resin system costs everywhere would already be an improvement, even though more things can still be improved with that. Just doing that for now would actually help out quite a lot of people. Now this is going to be a big ask, but you know, maybe do something about the gacha rate or the pity system, and you know, maybe the primo gem gain, and then last but not least, maybe some fixes in co-op. Now it might be difficult for them to do these changes, but these are just humble suggestions from, you know, a basic normal player like me that's free to play. But yeah, that's it. Now that we've all said that, you know, I appreciate everyone for listening to my humble opinions and my thoughts in this game. So now we're here to talk about my overall experience. So overall, this game is definitely fun. I enjoyed the gameplay, you know, the smooth graphics. Now I'm not able to speak for everyone because maybe some people aren't able to play it very smoothly on their platform. So you know, I apologize for that. But in terms of as I've said earlier, the single player aspect, I definitely enjoyed that. You know, the story, the visuals, the exploration. You know, the combat is pretty good too. And the endgame stuff are pretty decent. You know, for example, the Abyss system, is decent. It is pretty challenging. You need to level up your units, create a good team around it, which is, you know, good tactics and a fun aspect. Of course, you know, we have mentioned the downsides like summoning gacha rates as well. And of course, I didn't mention it earlier, but the constellation system, which is the dupe system, that's one of the reasons why I didn't enjoy the gacha rates. But you know, what can you do? It's a very high quality game that they made, so I guess they used that as an excuse to have lower gacha rates, which I don't think it's a big deal, but at the same time it will cause some issues later on, and I think for now I'm just forgiving for some reason, but I'm definitely sure that it does need some improvements. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video in Genshin Impact. Hopefully my opinions were decent. I tried my best in terms of explaining my side, like my reasoning in terms of why I think some are good and some aspects are, you know, not as good. As again, you know, miHoYo, you know, don't crucify me, you know what I'm saying, just my honest opinion as a basic gamer for this game with my experiences. In any case, hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's been your boy Nitrostorm. I'll see you guys in the next stream or video.